Hello, viewers. I hope you are having a fantastic day. And welcome to Ep.3.
We can put that in as a
of our podcast. And we actually have a new person on the podcast. Please state your name and your social security number.
No, just
My name's Chase, and I'm not going to tell you my social security number.
This is
I
already
don't want to be a part of this.
our first two episodes. I believe the first one was artificial intelligence. Well, it was modern physics, artificial intelligence. Second one, Stanford Prison Experiment. And
AI is a short for artificial intelligence.
this is correct.
Yeah, there you go. We can say that from now on.
AI.
Is this defined?
we don't know what we're gonna talk about very much, but we're gonna hop in.
Okay, so I just want to pose a question. Has anyone from the time we did the first podcast and now, has anyone's views changed over what we talked about, or got any knowledge that added to our first argument over artificial intelligence or AI? Does Chase have anything to add?
I would like to say that we've had some discussions since that time when y'all filmed the first podcast, and I would like to think I've added something to your beliefs about AI. And I have some bold statements about AI that I'd like to make. You can call me the bold statement guy. I think that's going to be my thing on this podcast. Here's my bold statement of the day. Since I wasn't on the first AI podcast.
You're going to have multiple.
Multiple, but this is the AI bold statement.
I like to talk about it.
Yeah.
In the next 10 to 20 years, okay, no, scratch that. 5 to 20 years.
Dang.
We're going to have to come to a major decision in the world about AI and whether we're going to define it as life and what we're going to do when AI defines itself as life.
I don't think we'll be there in 5 years.
I don't think so either.
I'm just saying.
I think we can, but I don't think we will.
No.
You don't think we can?
That's why it's
No,
a
I
bold
don't think.
statement.
I just
That's
don't
why
think
it's
we
a
will.
bold statement.
Do you believe in this bold statement?
I've heard some things.
You've heard something.
What do you know about Google DeepMind?
Oh, he actually brought this up
prior
prior to this recording.
Did you hear about the meeting between Elon Musk and, I don't know his name, I forget his name, but he's the head of DeepMind.
Google guy, yeah.
Yeah, he's the head of DeepMind. They met at SpaceX to discuss the things they're working on. The topic of discussion apparently was Elon Musk, well, the other guy, he said, I'm working on the greatest thing in human history, the most important thing. I'm working on AI. And Elon Musk said, no, I'm working on the most important thing because of you. Because what you're doing, we need to be colonized on another planet before you are successful in what you're doing, because it could be very dangerous to humanity. That's what Elon Musk told the guy from DeepMind about what he thinks about AI. He's really skeptical. He's actually poured, I think it's $1 million in the last year into a project about researching AI, against AI.
Like what it could become. And
Yes.
Oh, okay, again.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying like into AI. I was like, that's $1 million.
Because he's real skeptical. He's not skeptical of it. He likes the technology side because he loves technology. But
Just have a better understanding.
yeah, a better understanding and what it's going to be. So I thought that was interesting.
Maybe it would help us though. Like maybe
Well,
instead
that's
of
the idea.
maybe instead of like it deciding to be like, oh, we hate humanity, let's kill it. Maybe it'll be like, hey, it could be like us, and they created us, so we help them, they'll help us, and then ta-da.
Now that is the intention.
Right.
But there's always, not always, but the only problem arises with everything that like no one intends to happen. Say, the whole if it has a conscious like understanding.
Why couldn't we just program it that way?
That's what I'm saying. That they plan on doing that, but if any one thing were to go wrong, that's where.
So what would go wrong? Like where would it?
We don't know yet because it's not a real thing yet.
Where would it fault? And it
Well,
doesn't really have that big of a will. If we were to,
it doesn't yet.
They said the
That's the whole-
Titanic was
that's-
unsinkable, but I mean, what happened to the
That's the
Titanic?
whole
It sunk,
discussion.
if anyone doesn't know.
Yeah, you're right. Right now.
yeah, but you couldn't put it into its. You couldn't command the Titanic to be like,
I think
don't
that
sink. You can do that with.
But no one predicted the Titanic to sink, and no one predicts.
I get
I
what
don't
you're
know if I
saying.
can have this argument.
I get
right?
what you're saying, but
artificial intelligence becomes something that's living, something that
Something
understands.
that thinks it's living.
Yeah.
Okay, and then when they see that another entity is trying to control
Yes.
me being artificial intelligence, then it's going to start to think, the whole slave idea is that it's a slave to humans, and then it's going to build.
No, I understand all of that. I understand it has the opportunity to have a will. I'm just saying we are the creators.
You're saying,
and,
like, why can't we make it to where that doesn't happen?
like, I feel like we could actually, like, force it to do, because
I
we
think
created
true
it.
AI
Okay.
that wouldn't be true
That's
AI.
the
I
whole
don't,
point
I don't
of
think
AI.
we're
The
I
whole
don't think we're advanced enough to get to that
No.
point.
Now here's the thing. We're not advanced enough, but we're trying to go in the direction of more development into AI. And I get what you're saying. You could program it to not, but at the same time, if you have AI, you're gonna want the most advanced AI you can have. And with the most advanced, I'm just saying there could be unintended consequences that come with that. Because the more and more you want it to understand life and be able to adapt to different tasks, the more and more it has the chance of getting a mind of its own.
I don't think we could do that with hardware. Is the thing. I think we have
But-
to find something else.
It's not just hardware at that point.
Mm.
See, here's the thing is, though, you're trying to give it, you want it to have understanding of the world around it,
Mhm.
so it can adapt. But
Now-
you can't make it to adapt to just a single task, because that's not adapting. That's a program.
There are people who, advanced software engineers, that say that artificial intelligence is impossible to create.
like the whole conscious side of it.
Yeah.
Now,
People believe that it has to be it has to have some organic component.
I
Yeah,
kind of
that's
believe
what
that,
I'm saying.
but I just think the more and more like I've seen, maybe not even like true examples. It's just scary.
I think the stage 1 is we have to figure out, is it possible. Stage 2 is how far are we going to let it go? Are we going to let it go to the extent where it's going to be a completely independent functioning organism outside of human control? Or are we going to get to the point where we can control it enough to where we can tell our household robot to go to the store and buy groceries and have human conversation with the people or with people at the store?
I think
Not go too far, but just far enough to where it would aid society.
that could only happen if its knowledge is basically the internet, because then it can imitate.
Well, that's the whole point. This deep mind that we talked about earlier. Google has been free for 30 years or however long Google's been around. Well, there's a reason it's been free.
Diagnostic.
Yes, the Google has been mapping the human brain and everything that a human would want to know and does know for however many years Google has been online.
So much information.
And
It's crazy.
that was the whole point from the beginning, because there's people who told them, we can do AI if you can get us this information. So
It's going to have to come from the internet because by choosing seeing what one person clicks on versus another thing, that's a decision, and the computer can analyze why did that person make that decision and why does that decision make them who they are.
So I wonder how they would make. Would they just go with like the majority of decisions made through it, or would they because each person's gonna have something very different, so it would go accordingly to their personality. So would that correspond to an AI having a separate personality of its own?
I think that there's 2 points. There's that point where the decision making in the internet, and then there's another point where DeepMind started off as them creating small little games, like they would get a computer to play checkers, just like a human. And then the recent big thing that happened was that they got it to play Go, which was it's an ancient Chinese board game that has so many combinations of moves that a computer couldn't be programmed to do it, but Google programmed it. So it's like AI in that sense, and then you have AI in the decision-making internet sense, and I think they're going to bring those two together to make something.
I also don't feel like qualified to answer that question.
But
no.
So I mean, most of this is theoretical anyway.
Yeah, and we're not experts at
No,
software
I don't
design or
civics,
anything, so
and
we
we
don't
have
really
our
know what's
sources
going on.
written down.
Mhm.
So, but
I just don't know if we're advance enough. I feel like we could make something that could imitate humans very well, but I don't think we can make anything advanced enough to have its own decision making is its thing.
Not right now.
That's the whole thing.
Oh,
Is
I feel like
it's
we
on.
need to
They
understand
think
the
it's
brain
there.
better.
It's there. They think it's possible, and they say, within a random, pick any number of years, this technology, I guess, could start to learn, and once it makes its first decision on its own, that's the whole point of the discussion.
But I also don't. There's another thing. Like I personally don't know if I don't know if a creation can, go rogue to the point where, or go so far from its programming to where it has like a mind of its own.
That's what I'm saying.
Like that's the one. Like I agree with you on that part. But both sides kind of make sense. But at the same time, when you step back and think about it, that's like so. It's just hard to comprehend that a computer almost could even have the ability to reach the point where it's making every decision on its own.
And there's like a thing where there's two different aspects of this. Is that there's the aspect of there's actual AI out there right now. Like programmers can program their program to learn. It's not like it's learning based on an analysis that it does of statistics, but it's not learning in the sense like for itself.
Like how these modern voice recognition programs adapt themselves to the user.
So it's on a very low level.
It is, but yeah.
So there's the low level and there's a theoretical level that we're talking about, like becoming its own conscious mind. And that's the part that gets super theoretical.
I feel like that's way farther than 20 years.
That's
Why it's a bold statement. But
I think we need to learn a lot more because I don't know much about the brain, but I just don't think we know enough at all about our own brains.
And they
That's completely different.
well, you know what they say, Ryan.
What?
You are the brain.
Okay. Well, you're gonna say this. Are you
I
gonna
gotta
say
say
that?
it. I gotta say
Just
it.
say
I
it.
gotta
Just
say it
say it.
into the mic.
The
I gotta
world
say it.
needs to know.
You are the brain. The skeleton is outside the brain. So technically, you are inside your skeleton, not outside.
The brain named itself.
all right, we
Now
can.
that's crazy.
That's a good transitional material there. Because
You know what
to
else
what?
they say?
I don't know.
Well, because all I know about the brain is that we have memories because of signals that repeat, and that's
You
scientific.
know that though?
That's what I've seen.
There's
There's
this
electrical
experiment
surges
done on rats. Like they took rats and they took their brain cells, and these brain cells were still functioning. They hooked them up to an electrical circuit, and which in this electrical circuit powered a little car and had a camera on it. And they hooked brain cells to this, and the cars would drive around.
Like a rat would?
In like the same like.
They just took
That's awesome.
yeah.
What the heck?
They just took brain cells, hooked them to since the brain cells communicate with an electrical signal.
Right.
So they took them and put them on an electrical circuit, and they attached them to more complex, like a
What?
car, like it was a little like toy car, and it drove around on the
Was-
table. And then when it saw an object,
Really?
it was gonna when it
Was
was gonna run
it
into.
was it a track that the rat had already been through?
No.
Oh.
Well, I don't know that. Maybe.
Imagine like doing that with a human and it goes through its entire life.
Cyborg.
Okay.
When
That's plausible.
Wouldn't that be
It's like
crazy?
taking
Like
your-
reliving
that-
a life.
Taking your brain when you die and
That
putting
is
yourself into a virtual.
okay. There it is.
Life.
Oh,
There it is.
Have
No,
you seen
no,
the
no.
movie Chappie?
Yeah.
Okay, that where he okay. Well, there's this guy
No.
and he
Yeah.
basically he ended up in this scene. He ended up uploading his consciousness to a computer.
Oh,
And
that's what the movie's about. It's cooler than the trailers look.
Yeah.
Dang.
Well, it's actually
trailer game was.
It's-
that's not what that's a scene in it. It's not what it's about. It's
Ah.
about
The guy creates actual artificial self-deciding
he gets
intelligence.
kidnapped by gangsters and then it grows to be a gangster. So
But it's still like
Really?
it acts
It
like
grows
an
to be a
infant
thug, yeah.
because it still has to learn and stuff like that. But then at one point, like he gets shot and he's gonna die. so
Spoilers,
You're not gonna watch it.
Bro.
bro.
No
I might have
spoilers allowed.
now.
Okay.
all of our
No.
viewers too.
Ah.
All 50
That
of our
movie's old
viewers.
now.
How old, Ryan?
Like 3 years.
Speaking of rats, have you heard about the tests with the rats where they would have like cheese in a maze for a rat.
Is that actually true? Did they
Well, hold
actually-
on. And they go and they get the cheese, and when they step on like the little platform where the cheese is, it shocks them. And they do this to like
Not make them like cheese.
well, just listen, just
That's
listen.
very
No,
mean.
just listen.
They get the reward.
And it's
at the front of
always
the
in
day.
the same spot, right? In the maze. Or just on a table. It's always in the same spot. There's multiple cheeses. Some of them shock them, some of them don't.
Oh.
Okay? No, this is... This rat, this mother rat, has babies.
I thought you were about to say.
And the rats,
Oh.
no, they don't go to the ones that shock them.
No, okay. What if the mom communicated to them when they were like
Yeah, using the rat language,
That's crazy.
saying don't be going.
Don't.
to
No.
cheese."
Okay.
Okay, there's
Communicated
multiple.
to them. Okay, what if that experience passed through the genes?
Oh wait, no.
Oh, that goes back to the idea that we have memories from our ancestors.
Yes, and
Like
also,
Assassin's Creed.
Like
type
Assassin's Creed.
Without
no,
the machine?
No,
Well-
like, that is true. Yes.
I think
Exactly the premise.
I think the premise of the experiment was to like people who have gone, people's parents or grandparents who have gone through different times in the country, you know, like the 60s and, you know, racism and stuff like that. They were trying to see if like the people's attitudes, the kids, the children's attitudes were somehow affected by that. That was the premise of it. They just
And
did it
this
on
goes
rats.
into other controversial topics.
Oh, it's very yeah.
I can.
But
Okay,
I was
so
just you know.
what if newborn baby?
That might
Ah.
be why.
Wait, time out. Where are we taking this?
Let him take it.
All right, just run with it.
It's hey, this podcast is a river, and we're all on a boat in the river, and we can't do nothing
It's-
about it. We
Okay,
have no
well,
paddles.
well, okay.
It's a stream of consciousness.
Well, I'm not going to go into the controversial topic.
yeah, no.
But
Say
what if
that
a
for the extra
baby
credits.
was was just born? A baby was just born. Doesn't know that, like, and there's just a massive pool of water, and it's really deep. Doesn't know not to crawl in there because it could die.
Or if you put it in there, does it know to swim?
I was saying,
apologize,
like,
Ryan.
does a
Apologize.
baby
I'm talking to the
like
viewers.
just born doesn't know anything? Doesn't know
I think it has.
what will kill it and what will not?
I think it has instincts. I mean, it might not save itself. But
What's an instinct?
it's not
if
just
you don't
gonna
have
go-
any experience.
I think.
Yeah.
It's not just gonna float
When does the
down.
baby gain instinct?
Yeah. Okay. So the question here: what is instinct if there is no experience?
I think as
It's past.
Is
I
it
think
passed
It's
down?
biological.
Ooh.
I don't know.
I think babies have different instincts than normal animals would because we grow up and we naturally learn language. Okay, I think that's an instinct. Language is a human instinct.
That's a freaking thing that you're put into. Like you're
And
put
right.
into that.
I'm
and you
saying
learn
we've
it.
gained new instincts and lost other instincts.
You start learning language in the womb.
And another thing I wanted to touch on is, what if you had the
Oh,
choice that a whole baby could live its life in space?
I've seen videos of, like
It would be very
I think
different.
Vsauce did a video about that.
Probably, yeah. It'd be
And-
very.
It said like, well, it doesn't have any gravity, so
But
it
that
doesn't
would be-
have
but the
its
whole-
organs don't grow correctly. Okay, because it's not always.
Yeah, but we don't
Is
know.
there a movie
because it's
coming
not-
out about this?
I thought
Or
it
it
already
already
came
did.
out.
It probably
Remember,
flopped.
it's
It was a kid who
it was a
born
boy
in space.
and he came back and he like went to high school and stuff. But
Yeah,
like people like
I sent you that. In the
and he was really weak on
Yeah,
Earth.
I think
okay.
he did.
Their arms would be, and their legs would be very thin because they don't ever like they're not
Gravity
using
is not-
them.
Unless
They don't have anything to
Did
lift.
you hear about the guy who went to the International Space Station and he's like 30 or 40 and
Yeah.
he hasn't grown since like a little kid, but he actually grew 6 inches.
Dude, I
In
want to
space?
Go.
In
I
space.
would
That's
love to be like.
That's because
60.
the spine is not being held down and it
Yeah.
opens
Uh-huh.
up more. That's what happens like when you get a massage and stuff. I think because like they lay you down
Yeah.
and when you lay down, even like when you're asleep, your spine will.
You gonna tell me you grow 6
The
inches?
space between
No,
us.
you're actually taller in the
But-
morning because
But the whole thing is
Oh,
like
because there's nothing pushing down.
Yeah,
You've had that for
cause
long.
you're horizontal and then you've been laying and it's spread out and then you get up and you're a little bit taller in the morning, but then over time the gravity just pushes
The
you back
question
down.
is,
It's like an inch.
is
or
it a
something.
moral like? Is it not moral to make that decision for someone else? Like we would learn a lot from like.
oh, it is totally immoral.
Yeah,
Well, but I
exactly.
mean, that's.
Yeah, but
I'd
like,
rather make that decision than.
if you could go back to before you were born and you could actually set out your life, would you want to be live your whole life in space, would you do that for humanity? Or like live your whole life
Well,
in a certain experimental standard?
are you saying if I had to choose now or choose then? Because I don't think.
I'm saying choose now, and then your whole life goes back.
No, I'm gonna be honest. Even now, I don't have the. I'm too. I guess it would be selfish to do that. That's like sacrificing your only
What if you were told?
life experience.
What if you were told that it would save humanity one day? Of course
Okay,
you would
but
do
how?
it, right?
Yeah.
That's
No,
theoretical. What would we
no.
learn from?
No.
We would learn a lot about how the brain works. Like if we did not just in space, but I'm talking about like if you could choose that one person grew up in a certain experimental standards, and then you could see how their mind functioned.
We get a whole bunch of parents who are down, right? And
I would like to understand what you just said.
of parents of
Down
Who are down with
Just
what?
let
parents of unborn children get anywhere from 20 to 10,000 of them,
Okay.
and say
I'm a little bit lost.
hold up,
Wait.
slow
I'm a little
down.
lost.
From the age. This is about to be a long segment, so just let me.
And my
Map this
answer
out.
might be long too. depending
From
on
the
what you're
age
about
of
to say.
1 to 18, how many people does it say an average person? How many people do you meet on average from the age of 1 to 18? Like
Thousands?
thousands, but how many people do you get to know?
Only about like 20,
Maybe.
Okay.
30.
So let's say thousands.
Okay.
Let's say we get 5,000 parents who are willing to send their children with them to live in a colonized base or place on the moon to where not only can they grow up their entire life of space, but they also have human interaction to create the closest simulation to like life on Earth.
To civilization.
Well, I mean, that's what's going to happen when we colonize
I would like
the moon
to
or
see.
Mars.
I would like to see if what the dramatic difference is by living in a lower gravity field such as the moon, and then
Is that
going
would that
back.
be immoral?
No, I don't think that.
Because if you are making, if it's not just one person just held in like solitude.
I mean, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say like it's not that different. I mean, it's like saying like go colonize a whole nother land and then being like,
But yeah,
hey,
it's the same as like a baby doesn't get to choose a
I have
state.
a really,
Yeah.
really good question that you need to answer, and would be great to hear an answer from everybody.
Okay.
So basically, what your question is: do you have a right to Earth? Do you
Well,
have a right
to live
Okay,
on
so
Earth?
we're saying, is it moral to take your future children and make them grow up on the moon?
Or decide
It's,
their life.
it's like the same thing because you don't know anything else.
Okay,
Yeah.
So
but if they're living up there,
do you have a right to say you want to go to Earth
yeah.
if your parents let you? I mean, when you're under their
It's like
That's a big thing too. You're under their
Because
custody.
hold
you
up.
say you're watching TV shows, you're experience like there's stuff from Earth there, and you're
Yeah,
like
you know.
experience it, and you're like, wow, it looks really dope.
ask your parents. They sign up for this program, so no,
Hey, that's like saying like if
No,
I'm-
you can't leave.
not until you turn 18.
I think both like this.
It's the
this
same
whole
thing here. You can't just. I couldn't just.
no, Colton's right.
I couldn't just leave and say I'm gonna go to North Dakota or something. Because guess what?
Okay, so-
Dad says no.
If I'm
No. I mean, it's the same thing.
if I'm from like Italy and my parents are from Italy, but I was born here.
Yeah.
It's like me saying like, I need to go to Italy because that's where I'm from. They're not going to really like.
I don't.
They should,
I mean, you shouldn't be able to
They've
make.
only experienced one thing their entire life.
Yeah, like so. Remember your first vacation when you first saw the ocean, right?
That was awesome.
You've never seen the ocean before, and you
It's
walk
scary.
out onto the beach, and there's water forever. Imagine your first vacation from living on the moon and coming down through the atmosphere,
that would be
and
amazing.
seeing the Earth and all the colors, and experiencing that. It'd probably be like a high. It'd be like an adrenaline rush you've never
Well,
felt.
So the question
You
is,
sit in the back when they make that decision.
so you're
Well,
asking,
I'm saying
is
like
it moral?
it's like a vacation.
Yeah.
Like at this point, our technology from getting from the Earth to the moon is probably a lot better, and it's not that big a deal to just go to Earth for a
Yeah,
week.
at the point where this would even be able to be
Possible,
set up.
yeah.
As long as it's not like harming the person living on the moon. Like, as long as they're not
Well, I don't
living
think
in
we know
fear
that
or
yet.
living in.
We wouldn't know that.
I'm sure everyone
And,
would
like,
want to go
sadness.
back to Earth.
Because it goes back to the thing, like, you know, you hear these parents, they just like lock their kid in their room for like.
Not really, because
Except for the
then-
colonization, like.
except for you're in solitude, you're in darkness.
No social interaction.
No social interaction. You probably
Okay.
aren't even getting fed. So
Okay.
you're in just terrible
I
living
think that's
conditions. You have no
that's
love.
immoral.
Yes.
And
That
but the
is
moon thing,
extremely immoral.
but the moon thing would only be immoral. Would only be moral if they were actually happy.
It would be immoral if they were trapped there against their will, past the age where they had the decision.
Okay, there it is. Is so like when you're under your parents' custody versus when you turn 18.
I think.
Is that you? Do you think that's a form of
I mean,
imprisonment, or is it just to help you
well,
learn?
if you think that's a form of imprisonment, then the same situations we're in now would be forms of imprisonment. Because I mean, it's the same thing as
I could honestly
going to
see
school.
like one of these other countries that are not free, like a communist country, doing some kind of experiment on that level.
I would love to see that. A moon thing?
As long as it wasn't immoral, I would be
Obviously,
fine with
we
it.
would have
Would you?
better
Okay.
reasonings though to
Let's go around the
to
room.
And
have a
don't-
moon
Just
colonization.
cause.
Just we just wanted to see what it was like. Just
And then
'cause.
would we on Earth observe their behavior?
Okay,
Living on the moon?
then
No.
Then that's immoral. That's a
Cause
right of
it's not-
privacy.
How is
Yeah,
it? How is it
no.
immoral if we're
It's
just
a right of
observing?
privacy.
No,
You
because
wouldn't be observing like their.
well,
maybe you could observe
answer this
like
question: would you be okay with someone observing your entire life?
Yeah.
Every aspect of it.
Because
There's
they
a movie
are.
about that, The Circle.
I know you're not. You don't want people to.
Would
observe
you-
your life.
Yeah, out of all people here,
I mean, has anyone seen the Truman Show?
I have.
Would you be okay
seen
being
legendary.
Truman?
No.
Okay.
I would not like the idea of my whole life
What if you didn't
was
know?
was based and
If you never found out though, what?
That's the whole
Then
thing.
you would've lived it.
crazy.
That's sad.
If you never knew.
But I
that
feel like
people were
it's so
observing.
hard to stage that for so long. I mean, that's the same premise of the movie, but
if the purpose
was
of my life
like-
was
Okay,
for,
the purpose of the
for-
circle is if everybody knows that they're being observed, then how are they gonna act?
a lot
that's-
differently.
So like then you have a different basis for human.
Just don't
I
tell
mean,
them.
or you either have that, or you just throw a kid out in the moon and just see what he does. You know?
I have another cool question about that.
From
already
a
did
womb-
that.
From a
The
womb.
kid who's born on the moon, right? You, let's say this is theoretical. What if there's a kid born on the moon and he lives on the moon and he has a normal life with his family, but he's educated. He's very smart, and you never tell him about the Earth.
What is he educated on then?
Well, English and just
Everything but history.
not history, science about how life works, but
You would have to
I
cut
wanna- I just-
so much out of
I
it.
want to know like what would he sees the Earth. The Earth is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, that you would have to be the level of intrigue you would have and curiosity
Okay, what if
towards
you,
the Earth would
Unless
be
you lived on the other
insane.
side.
what if he lived on Mars?
On the
and
dark
he
side of the
never-
moon.
How much-
Hey, that's where the Transformers were.
And you
so-
constantly
A
remember.
colony of 500 people are on Mars, but they're all an experiment, and they're never told about Earth, and they're only observed. But they
They're
live out
never
life
told
as
about Earth.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Mars,
Not
I
on
said
Mars.
Mars.
He said on Mars.
Oh, that's
Okay.
a new situation.
That's different.
we will never know all these things unless these experiments or whatever you want to call it
That's
are
the point of a
followed through.
thought experiment.
Now wait, what if we created artificial intelligence
To do it
that
for us.
that simulated the human mind, and then we can do these experiments within artificial intelligence to
How do you simulate the human mind?
Exactly. That comes back to the whole thing. If artificial
Yeah,
intelligence
boy.
existed,
Full circle.
I don't think you can do it. No, but for real.
if artificial intelligence, that's the whole thing. When do you classify something as living, and you have to, as it's immoral to.
Is it immoral to even?
If
Is it
artificial
immoral
intelligence,
to even define what is living and what
if
is
a
not?
robot, artificial intelligence could
Yes,
mimic,
you can define living and not living.
Can you?
I think you can.
What if you have alien beings come over here, okay, and they're like, that's not living, and they have a whole new definition of what living is. What if that's what AI is, and they're like, that's not living, this is living.
But then again, it's got to have some component to it that gives it that idea. So I'm just not buying the whole AI thing soon.
It's gonna happen a long time from now.
We'll be dead.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a lot of things.
When
We'll
that
be dead
decision is
before
made,
anything.
if that decision is made about life, like whether AI should actually be treated like humans, I think that
Okay.
I think we'll be dead before that.
How long? I have another bold statement, and it's also kind of a question. 10 to 20 years, you will be able to talk to. I'm not going to say like a humanoid figure, but say it's just like
A voice?
a box, and you won't be able to tell if there's another person on the other end talking back to you, or you're
It's
just
a Turing
talking
test.
to a computer.
Yeah,
That's like the whole test of like artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
If you can talk to a voice, or I guess we can put it that way. If you can talk to a voice, and you don't know if if it convinces you that it's human,
Yeah,
then
it's so-
artificial intelligence exists.
Well, that's my whole point. I think
That's
my
the Turing
bold
test,
statement.
like-
My bold statement is 10 to 20 years. You're going to talk into a box, and you're not going to know if you're just talking on the phone to someone or you're talking to a computer.
Y'all know about Alan Turing, right?
Yes.
How
Mhm.
he created the Turing test, and he was like, "This is the test that you can tell whether a machine is artificial intelligence."
Is that the
has
same
artificial
person who solved Enigma?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that his test is invalid
Whoa, how so?
Bold statement.
because
I don't even know who the guy is. So,
Alan.
right now
what up, Alan?
you can go on this website, and you're talking to a robot, like you type it out, and he'll have a conversation with you.
Mhm.
Just a regular conversation.
But is it perfect?
I think it's close to perfect, but it doesn't simulate true emotion because you're typing and you can't really.
See, that's yeah.
But I think voice recognition, like voice, like Siri and Cortana and all that, it's getting really close to sounding human.
Is it ever like human without a human? Like without an
Without
actual
a human sound.
no, without an actual like being that you can look at. Well, I mean that's the whole premise of
Yeah,
Ex Machina. So yeah.
Another thing, I don't think Chase knows this, so I'm just gonna say it about the.
Just go ahead. Go ahead.
About the what?
I probably don't. You're right.
There's this doctor. This is Professor Color. Professor Color knows everything there is to know about color. She knows the property of color. She knows the attributes of, like the properties of color. She knows all the different types of colors, the frequencies, everything. But she's never seen it. She lives in a black and white room. The robot is when she's inside, and the human is when she steps out and sees color, feels it, feels what it feels like to see color. Because it's a feeling, just like you said, about seeing the ocean for the first time. You don't just say, "Oh, that's the ocean." You actually probably feel something
Well,
inside of you.
there's all your senses are
Yeah.
involved.
But do
Right,
you
is
feel
it not
that
just like-
emotional feeling like, "Wow, that's just magnificent"?
Yeah.
Can a
You
robot
feel
have senses?
small.
You can have sensors.
Sensors. Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, but so I don't think you can have something that actually affects it. Like
That's why I'm saying it has to be organic.
Oh, we're definitely gonna, if we want artificial intelligence to exist, like on a humanoid level.
All these technologies that we've been talking about, I think I am way more confident in the innovation of the human mind to progressively make them better in a quicker amount of time than maybe say Ryan is. Cause,
What did you say?
well, if you were listening, you would know.
I was not, sorry.
I am very confident in the human. I'm gonna go another step further. I'm very confident in the innovation of America, in all these technologies that we're talking about. That's why I make the bold statement. I think we can do it faster than what we make. You know.
I think we're all caught up in this whole controversial state. Like, we have people protesting and doing all this stuff. When why don't we just all say, okay, let's just forget all this nonsense crap that we're protesting about and arguing about. Let's just, as a country, come together
Actually progress?
and actually make some progress on something. It could be some scientific stuff. It could be going into space. But I think that the reason why we would be like hundreds of years in advance if we're not stuck in this fighting each other on Earth.
Because we want things to be perfect here before we do anything else.
Yeah,
And that's
I
not
think,
going to happen.
You know,
Perfection is never gonna happen.
No. It'll be boring.
Yeah, it would be.
No. Yeah.
We fight about all these
It'd be
things. There's
fun
so
at
much
first.
controversy.
Yeah.
What?
We can just come together and
It'd be fun for the feeling to know.
I think
actually
Yeah,
I
make
have
progress as a humanity.
I have a statement about
What's your purpose?
humans. I think people on both sides of any controversy, they have the ability, and they probably actually they have the ability to have the same exact view. I think everyone has the ability to have the same exact view, or at least understand
Where
the
person
other
comes
view. I just don't think we put the effort in to do it because,
from. I don't think people care. People like
and also it's not as a big of a deal
It's also, I think, a pride
as
thing.
everyone makes
Like,
it out to be.
Oh, it's so much.
It's actually
fun.
mostly a pride thing. Once you
Well,
go
everyone-
so far,
Everyone
you're
wants
not just gonna turn.
when there's two sides. When there's actual two defined sides, you want your side to win. That's the problem. Winning is meaningless. If we all have the maximum amount of freedom, then the guy who wants to build the rocket is going to build the rocket, and the guy who wants to do nothing, eat as much as he can, and die at
There
40
you
years
go.
old,
That's
is
gonna
going to do
it
it.
right there.
rewarded.
That's the
via
It's
beautifulness of
maximum.
freedom.
Maximum.
capitalism.
Yes.
But it all
Thank
comes
you.
back into how many people are doing. It's a ratio of like, are there? Is 50%? I'm not saying.
Is 70% of the people doing?
Yeah. Are they
80%, or is 20% of the people doing?
80% of the
You
people?
want me to-
It doesn't
doing
matter.
all the
I
work?
think
It doesn't
I think
matter.
that is an even number.
It's a self-driven society, which is what that's.
You want me to?
It's not perfect, but it's
the best we've ever had.
it's the best we can get. It's
Do you want me to
self-driven.
break down humanity's problems in one sentence?
Let's see you try.
Please, I would love you to.
You're not me. Boom.
What version of you are?
I look
Yeah.
at someone
How
and
do
be
you
like,
spell that?
"What? You're not me. Why should I?" Blah 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 blah. There you go. You are
Because no
not
two
me.
people have had the exact same
You
experience.
are not me.
I thought you said you're
I
not
think
me.
that what you
Everyone
said-
sees a different movie.
It doesn't have to be.
You want to put it in a quote?
Everyone reads a different
I
book.
think what you said about freedom was just
Life is a stage, and we are all the
Beautiful.
actors.
Beautiful, Chase. You hear that?
It's
What?
beautiful.
What
What
did
you
you say?
said
What you
about
said
freedom?
about freedom?
Oh gosh, I've thought a lot about freedom.
What does freedom mean to you?
Define freedom.
Free will.
What is
I can quote something, and it's going to come from a document, one of the greatest documents ever written, the second greatest document ever written.
Constitution? Federalist?
Yes, it would be life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Thomas
Actually,
Jefferson.
The pursuit of property was the original, but that's.
Have you seen the
that's
movie Pursuit of
semantics.
Happiness with Will Smith?
Yeah.
That's a good movie.
That is a good movie.
Anyways,
I want one of those bone density things.
that'd be awesome. Just to have like chilling in your room next to
Yeah.
your Ultra Boost. So I guess we'll wrap this up right here.
Comment bold statement if you watch the whole thing.
If you have any recommendations for topics that you want to see us talk about, or I mean,
Listen to us talk about. If they're lame, we're not going to take them.
Hey, if you made it this
We
far,
get a lot of people
that's
in our
great.
inbox.
I don't know
So
how
many
you made it this
topics.
far with us just rambling on about this crap.
if you like our content, please subscribe and share our video.
Hit that thumbs up button.
Oh my gosh.
If you don't like it, then
Just watch our
Hit the-
videos.
hit
I don't
it
even
anyway,
care if
then.
you hit like or whatever.
No, don't like it. Don't like it. Ryan doesn't
Hey.
want you to like it.
thanks for watching. This is Spencer.
This is Colton.
Ryan.
And bold statement. Proximity effect. Cut it right there.
We'll see y'all on the next one.